Hey guys, the third Monday of April is celebrated as the Patriots' Day in the United States to show tribute to the soldiers involved in the battles of Concord and Lexington during the American Revolution of the 17th century. Now, this day holds a greater importance in Boston as the annual Boston Marathon is hosted on this day. This marathon was first held in 1987, inspired by the success of the 1986 Summer Olympics. This event is organized and managed by DMSC Sports. Now, back in 2013, this event was held on 15th April, but it ended in an unusual and quite devastating way. It was 2:49 p.m. when a homemade bomb went off near the finish line on Boylston Street near Copley Square, and just 12 seconds later another bomb went off at about 190 meters from the first bomb. The first bomb exploded near the Marathon Sports, and the second bomb went off one block farther towards the west. These explosions killed 3 people and injured several hundred others. The 3 people killed were 29-year-old Crystal Maddie Campbell, a restaurant manager from Medford who was taking pictures of the marathon, 23-year-old Lou Lindsay, a Chinese national and Boston University graduate, and finally 8-year-old Martin William Richard from the Dorchester neighborhood of Boston who was waiting near the finish line for his father. Medical personnel available on the spot provided immediate aid to the injured as additional police, fire and medical units arrived from nearby areas. The injured were transported and treated in 27 local hospitals. About 5,700 runners were yet to cross the finish line when the bombs went off. These runners were diverted to the Boston Common and Kenmore Square. The nearby buildings, including Lenox Hotel, were evacuated. The police sealed a 15-block area around the blast site. The airspace over Boston was restricted, and flights from Boston's Logan International Airport were halted. Cell phone service in Boston was congested due to crowded cell phone lines, but it remained in operation. But some local media reports said that the lines were shut out of the fear that cell phones could be used as detonators for more bombs. Many organizations like the American Red Cross, Boston Police Department, and Google Person Finder set up helplines for people concerned about their relatives and friends. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, or the FBI, led the investigation, assisted by several other organizations. Their first conclusion was that the bombing was carried out by North Korea, but the United States government officials said that there was no intelligence about such a threat. Evidence found near the blast sites included bits of metal, nails, ball bearings, black nylon pieces from a backpack, and remains of an electronic circuit board, and some wiring. A pressure cooker lid was found on a nearby rooftop. The pressure cooker lid pointed that both the bombs were pressure cooker bombs. The FBI got their hands on a CCTV recording of a shop near the finish line of the marathon. The camera recorded thousands of people who went past before the explosions, but it was almost impossible to find the culprit from that recording. On 16th April, a random person called the police saying that he was taking pictures of his friends near the finish line, and he took some pictures of the place where one of the bombs went off, and he could send those pictures if the police was interested. Now, after comparing the camera recording and the pictures, the FBI were able to identify the culprits. Now, let me explain this part a little bit. The image on the left side of the screen is a portion of the camera recording, and the image on the right side is the picture clicked by that man. Now, if you look at the first image, you can see that this guy is carrying a bag. But if you look at the second image, he is not carrying the bag anymore. So the question is, what happened to the bag? Well, if you look carefully, then you will be able to see something here. So let's take a look at a magnified version of this image. Here you can see that there is a bag on the ground. So the conclusion is that this guy carried the bomb in his bag, placed it here and left. By the way, if you look at this picture, then you will be able to spot Martin William Richard, one of the 3 dead victims, standing just beside the bomb. Well, no wonder he was one of the victims. Now that the police had their top suspect, they began searching for this guy and found him in another camera recording with another guy with another bag or another bomb. These two were later identified as Tamerlan and Soker Sarnif. On 18th April at 5:20 p.m., the FBI released the images of the two suspects, asking the public's help in identifying them. At about 10:30 p.m. that night, the Sarnoff brothers had a gunfight with Officer Sean A. Collier. Officer Collier was shot 6 times with a 9mm Ruger P95 semi-automatic pistol. The brothers shot him in an attempt of stealing his pistol, but they couldn't get it as the pistol holster had a retention system. Officer Collier was shot near the Strata Center in the Massachusetts Institute of Technology campus. He was already dead when the police found him in his car. After killing Officer Collier, the Sarnoff brothers escaped in a green Honda. The brothers hijacked a Mercedes-Benz M-Class SUV in the Allston-Brighton neighborhood of Boston. The owner of the car was later identified as Dun Meng. Tamerlan drove the SUV while Zucker followed him in the green Honda. The brothers forced the hostage, Dun Meng, to withdraw $800 using his ATM card. Then they stopped at a gas station to transfer their goods from the green Honda to the SUV. It was during this time that Dun Meng, the hostage, escaped and ran off to another nearby gas station. He immediately rang up the police, informing them about the carjacking. Dun Meng's cell phone was left in the car. It helped the police track down the brothers to Watertown. After midnight on 19th April, the Watertown police identified the brothers inside the green Honda on the 100 block of Laurel Street. There was a gunfight between the brothers and the police. An estimate of 300 rounds of ammunition was used in this battle, and the brothers even had grenades. The brothers injured 17 officers in this battle, including Officer Dennis Simmons, who died a year later. Tamerlan was the first one to exhaust his ammunition. He threw his gun at an officer and tried to tackle him, but he was captured by that officer with the help of another officer who tackled Tamerlan from behind. Zucker got inside the stolen SUV and drove it towards the officers, trying to save his brothers. The officers dodged the car, but Tamerlan couldn't. The car ran over Tamerlan and dragged him. The car was later found almost half a mile away, with Tamerlan still hanging behind it. Tamerlan died at 1:35 a.m. on 19th April in a Boston hospital. The registration record of the green Honda left in Watertown helped in further identification of the brothers. Their family had immigrated to the United States in 2002. Zucker's father and uncle came on television encouraging him to give up and turn himself in. On the morning of 19th April, a 20-block area of Watertown was sealed by the police. The residents were told not to leave their houses or answer the door. The officers scoured the area in tactical gear, helicopters circled the area, and SWAT teams in armored vehicles moved through in formation with officers going from door to door. The entire public transport system was suspended. Universities, schools, many businesses, and other facilities were closed as well. The Logan International Airport of Boston remained open, but under heavy security. Thousands of law enforcement personnel participated in the door-to-door manhunt in Watertown. It was in the evening of 19th April when David Henbury, a Watertown resident, noticed that the tarp of his parked boat in his backyard was loose. He then saw a body inside the boat with something which seemed to be blood. He immediately rang up the police. The police surrounded the boat and a chopper verified movement in the boat through thermal imaging. The police mentioned that Zucker started shooting as they approached the boat and they returned fire till Zucker's ammunition was exhausted. But he was found to have no weapon after he was captured. He was arrested at 8:42 p.m. After arrest, he was sent to Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center, where he was said to be critically injured with wounds. Some United States senators said that Zucker should be tried as an unlawful enemy combatant. This meant that he was to be tried as a terrorist or as a foreigner who has attacked the country with the motive of a war. This would restrict Zucker from certain privileges like legal counsel or having the assistance of counsel for his defense. But others said that it would be illegal to do so because Zucker wasn't exactly a foreigner. In the end, it was decided that he would be tried in the federal court and not as an enemy combatant. On April 22, 2013, 30 formal criminal charges were brought up against Zucker in the United States District Court for the District of Massachusetts during a bedside hearing while he was hospitalized. He was charged with the use of a weapon of mass destruction and with malicious destruction of property resulting in death. Some of the charges carried potential sentences of life imprisonment or the death penalty of Zucker. Zucker was judged to be awake, mentally competent, and lucid, and he responded to most questions by nodding. Zucker was asked that if he could appoint a lawyer, and he said no. Therefore, he was represented by the Federal Public Defender's Office. On 26 April, Zucker Sarnaev was moved from Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center to the Federal Medical Center at Fort Devens, about 64 km from Boston. On 10 July 2013, Sarnaev pleaded not guilty to 30 charges in his first public court appearance, including the murder charge for Officer Sean Collier. He was back in court for a status hearing on September 23, but his lawyers requested more time to prepare their defense. On 2 October, Sarnaev's lawyers asked the court to lift the Special Administrative Measures, or SAMs, as it had left Zucker isolated from communication with his family and lawyers, and that no evidence suggested that he posed a future threat. The jury selection for Zucker's final trial began on 5th January 2015 and was completed on 3rd March with a jury consisting of 8 men and 10 women. Defense lawyer Judy Clark admitted that Zucker Sarnaev had placed the second bomb and was present at the murder of Sean Collier, the carjacking of Dun Meng, and the Watertown shootout, but she emphasized the influence that his older brother had on him, portraying him as a follower. Between March 4th and March 30th, prosecutors called more than 90 witnesses, including bombing survivors, and the government rested its case on 30th March. The defense rested as well on 31st March. Zucker was found guilty on all 30 counts on 8 April. The sentencing phase of the trial began on April 21st. Zucker was sentenced to death on 24 June after apologizing to the victims. The FBI said that the Sarnaev brothers were motivated by the Islamic beliefs, but they were not connected to any known terrorist groups. They learned building explosive weapons from an online magazine of Al-Qaeda. They further said that the Sarnaev brothers considered suicide attacks but ultimately used pressure cooker bombs with toy car controllers as detonators. The Boston Marathon bombing is one of the most horrific things this world has experienced. So guys, with that we have come to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, then don't forget to like this video, comment down your ideas about the Boston bombing, and also share this video with your friends. And if you're new to this channel, then subscribe, because I bring videos like this almost every week. And finally, thanks for watching.